Welcome to the Temple of Flame. On today, Faithful Acolytes, we take a look at this. And what this is, from Dirty Dick's, it is Dick's Caribbean Dream. It is a Bajan-style mustard-based hot sauce. The gold standard, in fact, for Barbados-style hot sauce. So, got some island goodness going on here. This, I don't know if it references the Dirty Dick. Here it is. Dirty Dick's. Dirty Dick's. So we have TNT. Cyanide. No. All right. Well, we'll let that bit go for now. But I can't get that out of my head. What this, the whole Dirty Dicks thing. And there's been a lot of dicks in my mouth this year. We had some little dicks. Hot sauce not too long ago, and this is now Dirty Dick's. You know, and there's I think the burning question is, what would you rather have in your mouth, a little dick or a dirty dick? So for me, actually, Dirty Dick's, because this is a great sauce. This is a tremendous sauce. Anyway, that aside. So we have habaneros, we have pears, peaches, pineapple juice, apple cider vinegar, mustard, apple juice, brown sugar, honey, and fresh ground spices. So one of the things about Caribbean foods in particular is they tend to be very, like, Jamaican jerk stuff tends to be very, 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 very heavily spiced with dry spices. And that actually comes through with the flavor extremely well in this sauce. In fact, if you want an idea of, I think, a sort of Caribbean vibe, this is actually a fantastic sauce to pick up. Now, I didn't pick it up for that. I didn't. I picked it up because I was hoping it would be more like a mustard. So I went through and I bought just a rash of what were called mustard hot sauces because I'm out of mustard. Or I was when I bought this. In fact, I still am actually, because I haven't found a hot sauce that I think is closer to a mustard than a hot sauce that uses mustard. Anyway, though, that is my motivation for this. And I will say this, the price is actually pretty nice on these. It is not bad. So you can get into this for, I think this is one of the more reasonably priced sauces out there. It does paint just a golden picture of kind of that whole Caribbean flavor vibe. So a lot of dried spices. One of the things about dried spices for me is that you can't hydrate them enough to go back to, like, there's just no way of doing that once they're dehydrated. You sort of have that sort of concentration of flavor, but it also has that sort of dried spice aspect. That is intact as well in this. But this is a very delicious, very vibrant sauce. I quite enjoy this. I was not expecting to like this as much as I did. I was thinking it'd be more like a mustard. And you can certainly pick up the mustard in there as well. Now, despite habanero being the first ingredient, to me it doesn't read of that. There, and the fruits that are in there sort of contribute to more of a overall sort of fruity vibe than any specific flavor note. So we've got here sort of this is almost like a tan color, I think, to me. Maybe like a light tan sort of thing. There's little yellowish tones to it as well. I think it looks really good. You definitely can get the sense that there is some sort of mustard vibe going on here as well. They're calling it a gold standard. You could call it actually, in fact, a gold colored sauce as well. And let's get on into it. The spices are this. In fact, the spice is the thing that reads the most. Mustard also reads fairly heavily. There's a nice bit of sweetness to this as well. It's just a really well-rounded sauce. It's extremely well done. I like this quite a lot. You got the mustard, you got the sweetness. There is a back current of habanero heat, which is honestly fairly minimal, and I quite like that as well. So, all right, we've got here. Had to get blackened chicken again. That's all I was actually going to do. I was going to do yet another blackened chicken. But they also had some ribs on special at the old grocery store. And grocery store ribs are kind of like grocery store sushi for me. It's gonna be honestly probably substandard. And we'll start with the chicken, and we'll get to these ribs here in a minute. But even though they're baked, it was $8 for a whole rack of them. And I've not had ribs for a while, and I was having a day where nothing really sounded all that good. So I thought, all right, $8, I can doctor them up, and I can use this because this sauce, it's not as astringent as like a Carolina barbecue sauce, but I think there is some commonality there. But we'll start with this blackened chicken. That is delicious. This is the Tyson blackened chicken. And these two things together, you can make a really good sandwich out of this. You probably want to be, if you do decide to do that, be a little bit careful not to use anything stronger than like a mayo. And let this be this is so flavorful, the sauce. I really, really like this. I don't have a lot of Caribbean sauces as a rule. And I didn't buy this one because it's a Caribbean sauce either. But I really quite like what they've done here. These are excellent on ribs. I wish not a lot of smoke flavor here though. If these ribs were better, this would be quite good. But these are baked ribs. I mean, $8 for a rack isn't horrible. But if they had any smoke flavor at all to them, this would just be really tremendous. Uh-oh. I can cut these very well. It's pretty hard to get a decent smoky flavor in the oven, I think. I mean, I've made ribs a number of times, and I've tried to use the fake smokers and so on. It just never works out. Liquid smoke, same thing. These are still quite good with the sauce. But they are definitely missing the smoke. They're almost inedible without that sauce. Ribs are messy. You can't have ribs, you gotta get messy. If there's one thing I know, if there's one thing I know, it is that. This sauce is great. So this one is, the mustard is very forward in this, but this is very clearly a hot sauce and not a mustard. It reminds me somewhat of, Torchbearer did a bad brain sauce quite a while ago called Fire Babylon Burn. It's a sauce I really enjoyed. And then it vanished. This somewhat reminds me of that. And I flew through that bottle. And this one, well, I don't think it should be around too long either. But yeah, this is a super enjoyable sauce. I really like this. I'll tell you what, adding it to I don't do this, but I've seen people, when they make ribs, they'll put a layer of mustard down first before they put other stuff on. If you substituted this, if you make ribs that way and you substituted this for that layer of mustard, you have yourself just a small touch of heaven right there, I think. This I would put, I would give it slightly hotter than a 1, but not much. It's got I got a nice little smolder going on here. Just really super flavored though. I definitely dig what they're doing here. Like, it doesn't work for everything. Caribbean has a lot of fairly distinct flavors that you have to match with stuff, but it does go with meat. Tell you that right now. I don't think that there's a meat that I've tried this with yet. Other Caribbean sauces as well that I don't think it works on. I think it works quite well, in fact, on that. I wouldn't put it on like pizza, and probably wouldn't mix it in with cream dishes and stuff. So, I mean, it is kind of its own thing. You have to kind of put it where it needs to go in terms of like the Caribbean food being a big one, or Cajun food. Some of the Cajun foods will work pretty well with this as well. But where it works spectacularly. And I think that's fun to have sauces that kind of fit in a particular dynamic and don't fit elsewhere as well. In terms of like, everyday sauces and stuff, this wouldn't qualify for that. But I think, with everyday sauces, you invariably are going to have some compromises. With this type of sauce, you really can't. It is very much its own distinctive thing. And what that thing is, it does remarkably well. So definitely, this is, like I said, it's got a pretty nice price point. I would encourage you, if you're interested in jumping on board some Caribbean cuisine, to give this a look. This is wildly better than I ever expected. And I will say it is quite delicious. So yeah, definitely a very favorable sauce as far as I'm concerned. And we'll just leave it right there. So that is from Dirty Dick's, it is the Dick's Caribbean Dream Hot Sauce. Now go forward in peace to serve the flame.